Hi guys, this is Tammy. I've had some questions from different members that have messaged me and asked if I can give them some assistance on cutting without a mat, especially the loading media. If I have a design that is going to be longer than 12 inches, typically, I won't use a mat. I'll usually use a roll. Today I'm going to be cutting a design that is going to be about 40 inches long. By less than 12. So I have here a 12-inch wide roll, 12 by 10 yards, I believe. And what I did was I already loaded it. I set it up here, and one of the things that I want to show you is that if you can look right along the edges here, see how crooked I had cut my last project. I didn't get a straight cut, so it's not even. So when you go to line up, what I do is I release my roller feed clamp down so that this has some give. I line it up along the edge here and I push the rest of the vinyl kind of in there, but as long as it's lined up here, I'm not too worried about here. So then I'll go ahead and put the clamp back up in an upright position and then hit load media, and it'll slide in. Now what you want to do is you want to keep your vinyl underneath the roller clamps. Typically when you're using a mat, your roller is going to be all the way over to this notch, but since I'm using 12-inch wide roll, I'm going to move it over to the second notch in. This one over here never moves. And then again, I've lined it up right here. This is a paper holder from IKEA. I know that a lot of people use the roll feeder. I have one, but it's big, it's bulky, and I just don't have the room for it. So I use this. It was less than, I don't even remember. I want to say it was like $4.99, $5.99, something like that from IKEA. It works great for me. I just slide my roll onto the holder. It has a top part here, but I don't use it. And then what I do is I just kind of loosen up my roll a little bit. So what I'm going to do is to show you how to make sure that your cut is going to be straight, that your vinyl is going to feed in straight. So the arrow over here, these sets of arrows, is what's going to scroll your vinyl in and out. Okay, once you press that, you'll get this window. This one will feed it forward towards you. This one will feed it back into the machine, and that's what I want. I'm going to push this down, and I have to be honest with you, I don't like the LCD screens. The Cameo one with the actual buttons were so much better. So anyways, I'm going to hold that down, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to keep an eye on the vinyl along this edge. Okay, see, it's still lined up. And I'm going to do this for the length of what I'm going to cut. So every once in a while, stop and make sure it's straight. As long as you have already fed in some of your vinyl into it and lined it up to this edge, typically, most of the time, it will stay straight. A lot of what people have problems with is when they do the load media and they feed it through and they just have a crooked cut, then it starts feeding kind of wonky. So I'm going to do that a little bit more. Now when I've gone all the way through the length of the project that I need, I'm going to check it again. It shifted just a little bit, but not enough that it's going to make any difference. So now I'm going to feed it back. And what I noticed with this machine is that if you hold this down too long, it will just keep feeding and feeding and feeding. Let me see if I can get it to replicate that. Well, no, it's not going to do it because I'm recording, of course. Feed it all the way through until you get to the beginning. Okay, now I'm going to kind of roll my vinyl back onto the roller and do it again. And what I noticed that if it starts just going and not stopping when I release it, I'll either hit the down button once, or I'll hit the return button and it seems to stop it. So I'm going to put it back to its original position. There we go. Okay, so that's how I cut using load media, or how I load my vinyl using load media and cut without a mat. Now what I'm going to show you is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to see if I can do it with one hand. Okay, so you line it up right here along the edge, right? And I already told you that my vinyl was not cut straight, because see, you can see that it's lined up right here, but see how that vinyl buckles? Because I didn't cut it straight. So you can either elect to cut a straight line across it, make sure you get a level line, or what I do is I just released my clamp and then wiggle my vinyl in there a little bit. See how I wiggled that in there? And then I line it up over here. Just wiggle it until you get a straight line. And then usually I'll hold this part down and smooth it all the way across so that I have a nice smooth feed. Okay, and some of my vinyl is already going to be underneath that roller. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the clamp back up, lock my rollers. Okay, now can you see some of it is shifted, but over here it's locked in there because, again, I didn't cut straight. So I'm going to feed that in just like that. Make sure all of my vinyl is underneath the roller. And then I'm going to hit load media. Okay, that is going to help you keep that alignment on the edge. You can either elect to take your roller and on my quilter's mat, line up the edges of the roll and get yourself a straight cut across the top, or use the method where you partially feed your vinyl in, releasing your clamp and aligning to this edge. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or tag me, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. All right, happy cutting.